Are we reading it wrong? In the beginning you had mentioned there's members out there, and I remember Darren Soto was there co-sponsoring the bill with you. We just don't hear from them, and it seems like the entire initiative of this administration, to Chair Gensler, to Elizabeth Warren, they just want to dismantle blockchain and crypto and push all that innovation offshore.
I think they don't really want to push it offshore. They fundamentally want to kill it. And look, that's not everyone in the party, but everyone in the party seems to be going along with it at some level.
Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan, and that was Jeff from the On the Chain channel. He and Chip had Warren Davidson on just a couple of days ago, and Charles Gasparino tweeted out that Ellie Tarrant, the crypto kid, did it again with a leak that reveals the secret Democratic plan for a game-changing U.S. crypto crackdown that could hit the price of Bitcoin and Ether. That is the title of this Forbes article about a memo that was circulated to the Democratic House Financial Services Committee members with key messages lawmakers were told to stick to. Ellie leaked it on Twitter, and as you can see, Forbes picked it up. The memo reads that the problem isn't ambiguity, it's mass noncompliance with existing laws, and that we can't invent new accommodating regulatory structures simply because crypto companies refuse to follow clear rules of the road. Unbelievable. This memo calls on Democrat lawmakers to push back on Republican claims that they are working to provide clarity to the markets by carving out space for the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, the CFTC, in crypto. Republicans are proving that they really aren't serious about protecting investors and consumers, as it says there in the quotes. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and cryptocurrencies have become a partisan issue over the last year. The high-profile Republicans such as Ted Cruz giving their backing to crypto, while influential Democrat presidential hopeful Elizabeth Warren embracing the idea she's building an anti-crypto army. There's an interesting video from the Staple Crew. This is a channel I often watch. Alan is, I really enjoy his candidness. And he streamed with his wife, Elizabeth, yesterday, and they talked about the SEC versus Ripple case. She's an attorney, and she brings a perspective that I think is worth sharing. Now, I want you to watch the video in its entirety. It is an hour and 43 minutes long, I think. And also keep in mind that she requests that you put a question mark after everything she says, because she doesn't know, and nobody actually knows what Judge Torres is going to do. But she does have a feeling that diving into the expert witnesses, that this is going to go to trial. And it's because of the dispute to the material fact between each side's witnesses, the SEC side and the Ripple side. It's interesting. I clipped just a small portion of it. Have a listen.
So I was like, okay, well, I looked at the civil case management plan and scheduling order. The interesting thing is, another thing I'd said, is this going to a jury trial? Did they elect a jury trial? What the heck happened? So in that order, yes, a 2-week jury trial was requested. And that was something the parties said was their estimate. Lawyers tend to be a little long-winded. So maybe 2 to 4 weeks, but you can't say it's a 2-week trial and then go for 2 months. Judges get really pissy about that because you have juries there, and they elected jury trial. And then it was interesting, section 9 of that order, because everyone's like, settlement, they were talking settlement and all this stuff. Well, they did talk settlement. They were required to meet for at least 1 hour, 1 whole hour, to discuss settlement within 14 days following the close of discovery, and that it did say that that might have happened or previous to the case management plan to discuss that. So I don't know what happened with that, but anyway, I noticed that. And then the timing of the jury trial, the interesting thing is if the judge denies summary judgment to both parties, that's it. It's not an appealable order. So all this discussion about appeals is interesting to me because that's not what I read in the rules. If she denies both motions, it goes to trial. If she denies she does like a partial summary judgment, meaning she says, yeah, this issue isn't in dispute and this issue isn't in dispute, but the rest is disputed. Those are not appealable orders either. And so, and then when would this go to trial? So once motion for summary judgment is denied, either in total or partially, then the parties would come in and say, we want to go to trial now. All the discovery I can see is done. They did all the depositions, I think, is what I could figure out. So the parties come in and say, we want to trial this case. And then the court has to say, okay, I can squeeze it in here. I can squeeze it in there. The next available courtroom is here. But she's got to prioritize her scheduling with cases that have higher priority. So if she has some kind of other case that has higher priority, for instance, the rules talk about criminal proceedings. I don't know if she's assigned any criminal cases. Habeas corpus. Sometimes a lot of courts participate in habeas corpus issues because those need to be decided very swiftly. Injunctive relief and some other things that take precedence. Grand jury witnesses that are being recalcitrant, I think is what they talk about. So she has to schedule all of that. And so I also, it's the court shall grant summary judgment if the movement, either of the two movements, show there is no genuine dispute as to any material fact. Okay. And you're entitled as a matter of law. And that's why I had been going through the expert witnesses, because that was kind of showing me that there is material dispute as to material facts as between each witness. Like the SEC's witness says one thing, the defendant's witness says another, expert witness. That's an issue of material fact. And Judge Torres keeps ordering those things. And I thought the expert witness stuff was, like I said, I want to give you the facts, the deeper dive into the stuff rather than just some opinion that I don't show you the receipts on where I'm getting these statements, so I'm not making predictions, but it's supposed to pierce the pleadings and to assess the proof in order to see whether there is a genuine need for trial. And then, so what I was thinking was, I think there's a genuine need for a trial because the expert witnesses, he says this, she says this, SEC expert says this, defense expert says that. Judge Torres, the court is saying, triable issue. I don't know. I'm not going to get rid of this expert. You don't like him, but I'm not going to get rid of him because he says black and you say white, that's a triable issue, material fact. We're going to trial. Yeah. How to interpret the Supreme Court's reasoning in Howie, listen, is the central issue in this case. And so that's, again, backing up my instinct that if it's the central issue in this case, and SEC has an expert saying the central issue, the facts supporting that central issue are this, and then the defense says the facts supporting the central issue at this, that's a trial issue. That's something for the jury to decide, not the court. The court decides law when facts are established. And SEC has their expert regarding this issue, and defense has their issue. That's why I say, gulp. It's sort of hard for me to say that in the face of all these experts coming on and saying that Judge Torres is going to bring an order deciding this case on a motion for summary judgment in favor of XRP. I hope you understand how hard it is for me to be like, I don't agree. I don't know. I'm shrinking, right? I think that how can you have a judgment as a matter of law when there's two experts saying different things? So I don't know. Schwartz may testify about Ripple's XRP contracts and their differences from Howie contracts. That's not my language. Judge Torres, Schwartz may testify about Ripple's XRP contracts and their differences from Howey contracts. Okay. But then she said, but he may not opine on the legal reasoning in Howey. That's for the jury to decide. They're going to get an instruction. Sorry to block Alan's face. They're going to get an instruction saying Howey elements, boom, 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 boom.
No.
Take the facts, apply them to Howey jury, and decide.
I'll be sure to put a link to that video in the description below.
I think the more complicated issue when it comes to fake news is that the younger generation really doesn't experience or consume news with the same filters that what I would call traditional news or older folks, maybe some of us up on this panel, were once raised, whether you had a news reporter, a news presenter that you trusted and that you received your news from. Those largely don't exist anymore. There's a big spectrum to fake news. It's what are you disseminating? What are you sending out? What's catching on with consumers? Because you'll receive a video and you're there today sitting, is this real or not? What organization did this get published from? But the younger generation does not differentiate. Look, keep it. They're used to seeing, someone's, phone cam on site somewhere telling them what's going on, and they take that as real news. So real news and education and discipline is very, very important. Not to mention in the spectrum is, all the social and technology platforms experiencing a coming of age and their responsibility about disseminating or being a platform for disseminating news.
That intro was the new CEO of Twitter. Her name is Linda Yaccarino, and she has spent her whole life in media. First, 19 years with Turner Broadcasting, that would be, of course, CNN, and then later with NBC for 11 years. And yes, we've blurred the lines, and as AI matures, it's going to be even harder to know what is real and what is fake. The newscasters of the past, however, were given a script, and they were told how to spin the story. Call it fake news now or call it propaganda. I now know I grew up with fake news. I think 16-year-olds today are much more aware of fake news than I was at that same age. And keeping with the fake, in yesterday's video, I shared with you a live demo, and this was with the Spendabits app using Bitcoin to then transfer into US dollars and doing it on the XRP Ledger. I was accused of this being a fake animation. Well, I can tell you it was not. I'm going to show you now the non-edited version. And the reason why I chose to edit is because there is no explanation in this original live demo video. And you can see that it goes so fast. It's just a blur. The XRP Ledger is so fast to transfer value. You'll see 42 seconds. Ready? Here you go. Yeah, I just had to explain what was going on because as you can see, it's just so fast. We're coming up on 30 seconds and we're to the point where it's being confirmed on the testnet that the transaction went through and the video is over.